But the news was just announced that WNBA TV ratings are down more than 50% since Caitlin Clark's injury. And it was also reported that the Indiana Fever television viewership is also down over 53%. Now, I know a lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA.
Okay, listen, the WNBA has found a harsh reality. Much like trying to watch Netflix without Wi-Fi, life is completely miserable and unwatchable without Caitlin Clark. At 2 in the morning, postseason ratings are draining faster than your phone's battery. At the moment, the league is desperately trying to figure out how to maintain fan interest. Did everyone simply vanish? Or did viewers simply switch to pickleball highlights? I can assure you that this playoff disaster is far more fascinating than any reality TV reunion you've ever seen. S.O. Don't move.
Any chance that the WNBA, that Kathy Engelbert saw some of the ratings that I'm about to show you now and said, hey, Indiana Fever, can you do us a favor? Can you do us a solid? Can you just tease a Caitlin Clark return, kind of boost these up a little bit? Can you just dangle a Caitlin Clark return in front of the fans' faces, try to boost these ratings up a little bit? There was one matchup that this league could consistently rely on to produce massive viewership.
This, I believed, was the time that IT was the year the WNBA came out of the shadows and showed the world that it was a legitimate contender for a spot in the major leagues. Rather, they seem to have blown their plan completely, fallen headfirst into a huge pail of nacho cheese, and are now frantically trying to convince us that it was all part of some grand culinary scheme. Indeed, precisely.
A shocker. Imagine my surprise. Just imagine my surprise when Uncle Casey found out that the WNBA is struggling to maintain their ratings without Caitlin Clark. To make matters worse, and this is something I have definitely noticed in the last 3 or 4 weeks, especially since the All-Star game, the WNBA seems to be struggling to maintain interest.
Let's be honest for a moment. This WNBA season has been both spectacular and utterly destructive. When you were trying to watch a game, you most likely came across a commissioner who thinks player health is more of a polite suggestion. Ridiculous number of foul calls and injuries seem to have been made by referees wearing legally damaged eyewear. If you were genuinely watching for amusement, you probably clicked away before you could say Caitlin Clark. In relation to Clark, the defense turned her ankles into public property by treating her like a human crash test dummy. She actually spent more time recovering on the bench than playing on the court.
Caitlin Clark, the operative word that comes to my mind is gratitude. There's an incredible level of gratitude that should be accorded to this young lady with what she did for this sport.
How was the attendance for Team USA in the Olympics? What would it have been like if Caitlin Clark was playing on that team? Remember the first game? Look at this right here. National broadcast viewership. What are we talking about here? 1,000, what is that? 1.219? Is that the number? And the game afterwards got 485,000. So the Fever, in their game against the Minnesota Lynx, was 1.219 million.
You know something is seriously wrong when the most thrilling part of the season is watching fans nervously guess whether the league would just fall apart before the playoffs even end. The only thing keeping it together at the moment is a thin strip of duct tape with a creative caption. Please don't notice how absolutely terrible this is. The spoiler was obvious to all.
NBA's black superstars should thank their lucky stars. For the record ratings Caitlin Clark is detonating, even if new fans are mostly white fans. It doesn't matter what color eyeballs are. But the other day, I must admit, it hit me like Katie Bell Henderson telling me that's enough. I told myself it's not racist for me to...
Speaking of awful, how about we talk about the officiating this season? These referees appear to have been taken straight from a lunchtime mall food court. One referee is chewing on what looks like Sparrow pizza while discussing a flagrant foul, and the next is clearly acting like they are officiating a roller derby. The consistency is somewhere between a fortune biscuit and a magic 8-ball that in one game, a blatant foul is called, but the next, someone sneezes too hard and is immediately dismissed. To be honest, if these officials had their own, the player statistics for this season would proudly display 100% turnovers and questionable calls on every single possession.
The WNBA has a problem. And that problem is Caitlin Clark not playing in WNBA games. Now, what all does this affect? The ratings are plummeting. Guys, there's ratings for a couple of these games that are
All right, let's move on to the injuries. In all honesty, this WNBA season feels less like a basketball league and more like an orthopedic surgeon's Christmas wish list. Caitlin Clark, for instance, spends more time recuperating than playing because defenders treat her as if she owes them money. Every drive to the basket seems to be a brand new episode of how hard can we smash Caitlin before the referee realizes it. And I swear, they try their hardest. However, Clark is not the only casualty of this basketball disaster. IT is comparable to a commissioner's office communal good. Another star was put down when more players were hurt. Angel Reese, who abruptly left the WNBA in the middle of the season, comes next. In any other sport, the controversy would be shocking. But in this case, it's more of a damning indictment of the league. Why on earth would anyone have stayed when your commissioner is incapable of running the league? Officials are trying out for clown school while players are dropping like flies on a hot July afternoon. Instead of risking another tackle during a mock basketball game, Ree probably decided to spend her time accumulating Instagram followers.
That the WNBA is excited about. That's a trend that Kathy Engelbert would say, hey, Fever, hey, Lynn Dunn, hey, Kelly, hey, Amber, can you guys start dangling that Caitlin Clark return like you used to do? You know, before Caitlin Clark gave a statement and you guys were hands off. Can you guys, just string them along a little bit more? We want to get these ratings back up.
But here's the worst part. This isn't happening in a vacuum. For years, the WNBA has essentially been begging for attention in the hopes that it will be taken seriously and not just be a passing fad. But the league isn't doing much to further its own objectives. The commissioner, for example, gives the impression that he is allergic to player safety because he believes that protecting elite athletes and adhering to the rules is just too extreme. People eagerly watched to see if the commotion was genuine, and those were the best days before Clark's accident. Suddenly, ESPN was showing concern. In addition to showing highlights, Twitter users even feigned to understand what a pick and roll was, but the numbers dropped faster than Angel Reese's determination to play through her injury. The WNBA seems to have realized what happens when you base your entire marketing strategy on one player, and your officiating strategy is to just let her get hit in the face. Now, some diehard fans might argue that this is just a tough moment, that foul calls are common, and that accidents happen. But this isn't just bad luck. There is insufficient leadership. The commissioner has been relaxing, much like a substitute teacher who has completely lost control of the class. Instead of addressing significant issues, the league only grew more contemptuous. Well-known athletes are departing. Hello, all is well. The representative renders games unwatchable. Don't worry, fans will still be there. They didn't, in case you were curious.
Indiana, against the Chicago Sky, right after that game, they opened an investigation once again into the fans, where they found nothing, but the damage had already been done at that point. If some of these things happen just one time here and there, or there's one certain media personality who's just always saying these kind of things, then whatever. I feel like fans as a whole can be like, okay, whatever, this person is just a hater. But this is something that has happened over and over and over again, and over time, it starts chipping away at how much you're going to actually care and want to support an organization if they continue to do.
The few players who do manage to stay healthy are therefore forced to play more professional rugby or wrestling-style games than basketball. You can't tell half the time if you're watching WWE SummerSlam or a WNBA playoff game. Waiting for someone to take a steel chair is all that is required. In the meantime, the commissioner is out there conducting interviews and speaking with people about the league's expansion and zeal. Yes, and I get taller every time I wear high heels. T.O. characterized the growth of this season would be like referring to a house fire as a new lighting design. IT is completely nonsensical. But here's the issue. Despite the system as a whole collapsing around them, these incredible women continue to put forth their best effort. They are not worthy of representatives who officiate games as if they were at a toddler's birthday celebration. They don't deserve to be led by someone who doesn't care about their well-being at all. And they most definitely don't deserve a league that ignores them the minute things get tough and only promotes them when it's advantageous. The WNBA season is now coming to an end, with fans publicly doubting the league's ability to survive another season like this one. half of the players on the injured list, and ratings in the toilet. Congratulations to the WNBA if this season was destined to be one of major expansion. Without a doubt, it has developed into the biggest man it could be.
Clark thing, man. I mean, it's embarrassing. It is embarrassing what you guys have done. And then people are catching on to your tactics. You got the people on Twitter catching on to your tactics. Like, look at this right here. Look at this right here. They say ESPN didn't want to show the ratings were down from WNBA All-Star Game because
All right, so let's discuss this Caitlin Clark situation since it's just plain embarrassing. Your tactics are finally being seen by others, and what you have done is extremely dishonorable. After all, Twitter is basically calling you out. Some reports claim that ESPN even attempted to hide the fact that the lower attendance was caused by Caitlin Clark's absence from the WNBA All-Star Game. Maybe next year, the commissioner will actually consider player safety. Maybe the officials will finally learn what constitutes a foul. Furthermore, players like Caitlin Clark might not have to retire early after just one season. But until then, the WNBA is in serious danger. And the harsh truth is this: supporters are not apathetic. Clearly, the leadership doesn't, to be honest. The WNBA expected stadiums to be packed with fans waiting outside like a brand new iPhone, and that ticket sales would soar this year. Instead, the fact that there are empty seats is making a louder sound than any referee's whistle. The popcorn sellers are.